What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I've been playing through my backlog of games while I've been waiting for Diablo 4, and one of the ones I was most looking forward to has been Dead Island 2. And I purposely avoided reviews because I wanted to go in with a fresh mindset to see how the sequel performs. Now, with that being said, Dead Island 2 is very milquetoast. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great. It just kind of existed. It didn't jump out and grab me the way that Dead Island 1 did back in 2011, which, by the way, is insane that it's been over a decade since that game has launched. I actually went to the midnight launch of that one. It was a blast, one of the last midnight launches I went to. Now, the game fails to improve upon the original recipe of what made the first game so enjoyable. The frantic zombies are still there, the thudding and thumping of blunt objects against bones is still a present and counted for. But there isn't anything new and exciting that makes me think, oh wow, I really need to tell people about this. Instead, we're given an adventure through LA that is honestly mostly forgettable. The story begins with all the heroes on a plane set to depart LA, saving those aboard from the zombies overthrowing the City of Angels. Instead of finding safety in the skies, the heroes are instead overcome by a sudden wave of freshly turned zombies. You crash land and are forced to survive in the hellscape of the city. Now, throughout the story, you're going to encounter new and familiar faces, but most of the interactions are uneventful and fail to relay any sort of connection to the character. Now, I'm not going to drag on with the story elements, but it was much less interesting this time around than it was in the previous game. Now, while the story is bland, the actual world is not. I enjoyed the world, what you could do within it. I felt like the developers really nailed the urban jungle of LA. From the winding roads through the hills to the different movie sets, each area felt like it had its own identity and tone that fit within the grandiose yet fake world of Hollywood. Now, throughout each area, you'll discover locked containers that could potentially contain powerful weapons, and you guys know me, you guys know what this channel is about. I had to get in there to see if there was any legendary loot that was to be had. Now, this often sent you searching for a specific key, a code, or a fuse to access whatever was locked, and it often was tied to some sort of side quest. Now, most of the time, these things were fairly basic but potent weapons that could be upgraded through the crafting system. And this was another thing that I felt was a missed opportunity to do something really, really cool this time around. So one of the things that drew me into Dead Island the first time, the original one, was the way that you could customize your weapons to make some crazy contraptions. Dead Island 2 essentially kept the same system without making any big changes or improvements to broaden its capabilities. Instead, I was stuck kind of picking from a few selections, often the same one, in order to juice up my weapon to deal more damage to activate hazards on the map. Now, I would have loved to see a deeper crafting system to really take this feature to the next level, but for now, it's sort of basic and just, again, exists. Now, outside of improving your weapons, you can also improve your character by equipping different cards as you level up. These unlock new skills, passives, and ways to survive. So for instance, at a certain point, you could choose between different jump kicks to apply more force or damage to the attack, while other cards allowed you to use heavy attacks to regain stamina, or where if you chain together a bunch of attacks, you get a large damage boost if you kill zombies rapidly. Now, these didn't provide much depth, but it was something that I would tinker with every now and then, but honestly, most of the time, this was more of a set and forget system. Now, with all those fancy weapons and powerful skills, you can unleash all sorts of hell on zombies. You can crush their skulls, break off limbs, even throw pipe bombs to create a visceral rain of gore. And this is where Dead Island 2 hits its peak. While all of the supporting systems and story, in my opinion, fall short, the combat system does maintain its core experience by giving players meaty feedback on attacks and multiple ways to clear out zombies. However, with all of that being said, boss fights aren't exactly exciting or difficult. Most of the time, you're spent dancing around, avoiding attacks, while waiting for a window to unload a flurry of attacks that'll slowly whittle down a health bar. So to put a bow on this thing, Dead Island 2 was a sequel that fell short of expectations of a huge fan of the original. The game failed to build valuable experiences on top of previously successful systems that worked back in 2011. But with games like Dying Light and Dying Light 2 on the market, Dead Island 2 needed to deliver a good zombie slaying experience, and it missed the mark. Now again, this is my opinion, but I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. What do you think about Dead Island 2, and were you a fan of the original game? Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you guys next time.